So that's why they paid Kirk Cousins $100 million guaranteed, 4 years, $180 million to play in Atlanta, going from the Vikings to the Falcons. 36 years old. He tore his Achilles tendon with the Vikings, and a little bit of a slow start for Kirk Cousins the first month to his career with the Falcons, and then boom, it exploded on Thursday Night Football. The Falcons beat the Buccaneers 36-30 in overtime. And I'm not sure if it's a career high, but it is a Falcons franchise record. 509 passing yards for Kirk Cousins. So keep making those jokes about Kirk. Primetime Kirk, he's 2 for 3 in Atlanta. He beat the Eagles on Monday Night Football, lost to the Chiefs. But that's better than the record he had with the Vikings. And then keep making jokes about Michael Penix Jr., drafting him. It looks like they maybe just set up for the present and set up for the future. But we'll discuss it all here on Gilberto's Hour. We're going to break down Falcons versus Buccaneers and look ahead to week 5 on the NFL schedule. So ask us questions too. Don't be shy. Fantasy football questions, sports betting questions, anything you want to discuss in the NFL. Let us know. This is your show. This is our show on Gilberto's Hour. But I'm not alone. That voice that you always hear loud and clear. Victor Javier Corona, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me okay? I always have to do this just because we got to make sure we're on, our audio is good to go.
Yeah, sounds loud and clear, and hopefully we have some people joining us on this late night. I had to write a little more because it was overtime,
Yep.
and Victor, I didn't know which direction this game was gonna go, and to kind of tie it back to the Rams, all I kept thinking about was like pretty cool to see Baker Mayfield with Liam Cohen and then Zach Robinson with Raheem Morris, and those offenses, the dueling coordinators, Liam Cohen and Zach Robinson, they're close friends from their days with the Rams, so. I kept thinking maybe it's like a kind of a good story to talk about Baker Mayfield because if it wasn't for that Rams stint, maybe he wouldn't be playing as well. And then it shifted to Kirk Cousins, and I kind of wrote more about Zach Robinson and Raheem Morris. But it's funny how maybe 2 years ago, Baker was dead in the water. Nobody really heard about these coaches, Liam Cohen and Zach Robinson. Raheem Morris couldn't get another shot in the NFL. So from the Rams front, nice story there overall. But Vic, I guess what is your takeaway? Because I thought this Falcons offense woke up and they might be legit. I think.
Yeah, and just to continue on with the Rams connection, you also have Baker Mayfield. I mean, there's so many the receiver who caught the touchdown for Hodge for the Falcons was also on the Rams in 2019 when they went to
Mm.
the Super Bowl. So a lot of Ram connections here, but we're here to talk about Falcons, Buccaneers, and this was a great game, one of the best Thursday night football. And I'll post a question now, Gilbert. Was this the best Thursday night football game in the Prime Video era? I went. They've only been around for this is their second year, so I don't think it's hyperbole to say that this might have been the best Thursday night football in the Prime Video era.
Are you sure it's 2 years? I kind of feel like that game against the Rams and the Raiders was Thursday night football. I want to say it's three
Yeah, it
years.
was. Yeah, that was a
Okay, so 3 years. So 22, 23, and then 24.
yep.
So maybe those are the two games, and they're both involving Baker Mayfield. That one was a little clunky for the first half, and then it picked up at the end. Also, just a story about Mayfield being on 48 hours and then being waived and doing what he did on short notice kind of adds to the story. But this one was just a shootout from the start. You could tell early on it's going to be high scoring. And what happened to the Falcons defense? What happened to Todd Bowles Buccaneers defense? There was no defense at all. Even Young Wei Koo was missing some kicks. He got that one to end regulation and go into overtime. But it was about Mayfield and Cousins was better. And just the way he was able to get Drake London involved. And real quick on Drake London, man. All you heard from the tape grinders, the football nerds, I know we're criticizing them last year, but they kept saying, "Watch the tape. Drake London is open all the time." Well, he's still open, and now he's getting the football from Kirk Cousins. Drake London put on a show today, and it's pretty funny that on the one play that he missed a couple plays, but the play that he missed in overtime, that's when Hodges got the touchdown. So even a guy like that stepping up. Darnell Mooney had a great game. I know he dropped the pass on fourth down, but man, he had a nice stat line too. Even Kyle Pitts was contributing. Kind of a quiet game for Bijan. Eventually they'll get Bijan, but that passing attack is doing well. And then with Baker Mayfield, obviously Mike Evans is always going to be a problem. So it felt like a game where it's going to be high scoring, very explosive. So I know last year there was a lot of ugly Thursday night games. I can't recall one. But it might be those two to answer the question, Vic.
Yeah, and DC says yes, this was the best. Second was Chargers and Chiefs. So there's another one in the running there. I forgot about Chargers Chiefs as well. So hey, good recollection there by DC. Gilbert, yeah, as you talked about, there's a lot to get into this game. I know we're short on time, but Drake London 12 receptions, 154 yards, one touchdown. Darnell Mooney 9 catches, 105 yards and two touchdowns. Just an incredible thing. I mean, Kyle Pitts, this was Kyle Pitts 88 yards receiving are the most since his rookie year in 2021.
Whoa.
I mean, so many things, Gilbert, as we talked about, as you mentioned, Kirk Cousins, 42 of 58, 509 yards, four touchdowns, and one interceptions. Those are the most yards for a Falcon ever. So, quarterback ever. So, I mean, so many things to get in. Kirk Cousins joined Tom Brady 2011 versus Miami as the only players in NFL history with 500 passing yards and four passing touchdowns in a prime time game. So, no more. Hey,
Hmm.
Kirk Cousins is bad in prime time, as you mentioned earlier as well. But this game turned. The Bucks had this game won, Gilbert. The Bucks had a 1st and 10 on the Atlanta 28-yard line, up 3 points with 1 minute and 44 seconds to go, and they picked up minus 14 yards and never touched the ball again and lost. I mean, and then let me just go through the last four games. I mean, these are the cardiac Falcons. These are the last four games. Week 2, game-winning 2-minute drive against the Eagles. Week 3, two red zone drives, two turnovers on downs against the Chiefs, and then Week 4, game-winning John Young Ho Ko field goal after the Saints took the lead late in Week 5, and then Week 5 overtime win after a last-second field goal. So yeah, these are the cardiac Falcons this season.
Yeah, the Buccaneers should have won that game. Maybe it went both sides. Like if Darnell Mooney would have caught that pass, I think they probably would have scored and tied it up. But you were moving upfield after that. Koo missed that kick, and then Bucky the Buck fumbled. And he's a young player. He's a rookie. I did not
Yeah.
like that he kept soaking on the sideline. Like get over it, dude. Like it's still a close game, and Baker had to come over to console him. And then even when the Falcons might have thrown a reception, I forget what it was with Kirk Cousins, but uh, nothing happened, and they punted three and out. Irving again on the sideline. I guess not really engaged in the game. Like you got to forget about it. You got to move on. And even like a Cousins who threw an interception. There was the drop by Mooney. These guys made up for it. You got to be a professional and move on. So I didn't like that from his point. But he should have not fumbled. They probably would have won that game on that point. But they kind of put the ball in this game to move on. These are probably going to be, well, I can't count out the Saints, but it was one really good game, and there's not really much to take away from when it comes to the big picture because I think they're going to be in the race, all three of them, the Saints, the Falcons, and the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers, we kind of know what to expect. It's good that Liam Cohen has found the rhythm with Baker Mayfield. Everybody was worried about Dave Canales leaving. Liam Cohen obviously had a connection with Baker Mayfield from the Rams stint, which was really put on display today. They're going to be fine. They blew this one tonight with the Bucky Irvin fumble. They couldn't get anything going there at the end, but I don't think less of them for this game. The Falcons, I'm trying to be. I don't want to overreact there because it was one really good game for the offense, but is this a game where they finally look ahead and they don't turn back and say, okay, everything that happened in September, we're not going back to that. If they do that and they keep building momentum, they get Bijan and Robinson more involved. They could be the Falcons that we all thought they could be in the offseason. So from that point of view, it kind of feels like a three-team race here, Victor. But other than that, I'm not going to panic for the loser being the Buccaneers, and I don't want to react too much with the Falcons. But it was a damn good performance.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I mean, this is going to be a better division than we all thought. I think it's crazy how this season has gone so far. Where now we're saying that the NFC South is better than we thought, in the AFC North. Actually,
Yeah.
the teams that we thought were going to be good, like the AFC North, isn't as good as we thought it was. So I think some things have we're starting to see things now that we're officially the beginning of a quarter of the season. Because before, after 4 games, we used to say, well, we're a quarter of the way through the season, but because now we have 17 games, we're in that little borderline where we can say we're a quarter of the season now that we're in week 5. So yeah, and I think the biggest things for both of these teams is they got to clean up their defense. With the Falcons, and the Buccaneers, I just want to see better defense from them going forward. But offensively, these both of these teams are gonna outscore a lot of teams going forward. And yeah, I can't wait to see some of these games. And before we move on, Gilbert, to our headline games, I know we're running a little late here, but I wanted to get to some of these. I wanted to get to some of these comments, uh, and some of them have to do. DC says Baker looks really good. Kid just needed out of Cleveland. He
Yeah.
also said I benched London but played McLaughlin, but went against Baker and Cool.
Oh man.
Um, he also says people hate Thursday night games, but I'm glad this was good. And then Athir says Vic, Chargers at Falcons and Bucks at Chargers. I'm gonna sweat these games, and it goes back to now the NFC South is looking really solid. So it's not a gimme for a lot of these AFC West teams that are gonna face the NFC South. So there's a lot to get to there. But and then one more here says Boltillo is here for our horrible take. So there
Yeah,
we go.
as
We
long as
got
you're here, Portillo,
it.
and you're supporting, get that like button going and get some more comments, and we're okay with that. But
Yes.
it seems like one that I saw from DZ. DZ agrees with me with Bucky Urban being a Gen Zer and that
Yes.
mentality. Come on, kid, get back in the game and bounce back. But yes,
Yeah.
that was a good comment there. But yeah, let's move on to some games. And again, a reminder: don't be shy. Ask us fantasy football questions. We're here to answer questions. If you have any bold takes, hot takes. We'll look at them. We'll dissect them because I'm not doing all the terrible takes here. Both deals, some people could do it too.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. So don't be shy. I want to hear from everybody, and we're gonna answer as many questions as we can throughout the show. But yes, a little late tonight because of the overtime game, but we'll do the best we can. So let's get to these 3 games of the week.
Yeah, let's start off with our headline game of the week, Gilbert. We got Bills versus Texans. The Bills are 1 point favorites. The money line is minus 102, and the over under is 47.5. Where do you want to start here with this matchup?
Yeah, I kind of if I'm putting money on it, I kind of want to stay away from this game. But part of me feels like if I was gonna put money on it, I want to go with the Texans being at home. It's a pick 'em, obviously -1, but I don't know that just that Bills performance last week really like left kind of a bad look for them for me. They kind of feel like maybe they're frauds a little bit. They played the Dolphins, played the Jaguars. My Cardinals were not doing too well for the first 3 weeks, and maybe it's as simple as hey, they can't protect the run, and the Texans don't have a running game, but they're at home and they have a good quarterback. They have 3 wide receivers are very good. We'll see if Tank Dell comes back. Nico Collins is a monster. He might be the best wide receiver in the NFL this season. Him and Justin Jefferson. Obviously, you want Stephon Diggs to get his revenge against the Buffalo Bills. But to me, I just feel like they kind of feel like they're on even playing field, these 2 teams, and I just take the home team. I just don't know what to take away from this team. Like the Texans haven't been like a smooth team at all. They're 3-1. They haven't got. Well, I guess they got beat up by the Vikings, so they have their one bad game too. But it just feels like a game. I'll take the home team, and whatever outcome comes out, I probably wouldn't be surprised, Vic.
Yeah, and it's been a slow start for the Houston Texans. I kind of saw this coming just because I kind of figured this was going to be a struggle for a lot of a lot of the things they were trying to put together. Sometimes you need a couple years to kind of grow as a team. And as you mentioned, I mean, Nico Collins has been lights out. But one of my biggest issues with this team, has been offensively has been outside of Mixon, they just haven't been able to run the ball. And Bobby Slowick continues to try to run the ball on first and second down, and then by then you're having to have C.J. Stroud just bail you out on third down. And one of the things that we saw with C.J. Coming into the draft was, hey, well, he's not good at improvising and making plays out there with his legs, and that's all we've seen for him this season, Gilbert. He's had to do a lot of the work because Bobby Sloak just hasn't been a good play caller. And defensively, the Miko Ryans, we know what to expect from their defense, but even that defense hasn't been lights out like we expected. And then switching over to the Bills. The Bills, they're just a bad matchup against the Ravens. I think they'll come back in this game, and I'm expecting them to win this game. There's a reason why they're a 1 point favorite in this game. I think they'll get James Cook back in it. My only concern with this matchup, Gilbert, is you have to double Nico Collins if you're the Bills, and if you're gonna let anybody beat you, which is kind of weird, it's gonna be Stephon Diggs, and and then offensively, I think if you're Josh Allen, just continue to do what you were doing the first 3 games before you ran into the Ravens. Continue to just move the ball around, get everybody involved. And one last thing was the Shakir injury. He hasn't practiced the last 2 days. Not having him is going to be huge for the Bills offensively.
Yeah, the last thing on this game, I picked the Bills to win the AFC East and get the number 1 seed because I think Josh Allen is a good quarterback. I think Sean McDermott could scheme it up, good enough, but I don't think this team is talented enough to win the Super Bowl. Like I just think they'll probably be one and done again. And I wonder if that's going to come out in this game, kind of a playoff preview where the Texans have more talent on both sides of the football. They're at home too. They haven't been clicking at all, and obviously they can't run the football. We'll see when Joe Mixon ever comes back. But they're hurting defensively. The Bills are. They don't have their linebackers. Like if you look at that team, even edge rushers, you could probably name 2 players on the defensive side. So I think it's going to be something that could tell us how these Bills go throughout the whole year. Because even if you say you don't have Shakir, like they're really hurting too to have at wide receiver. I get that Keon Coleman is a good player, but he's still a rookie. Curtis Samuels goes quiet too much. I like James Cook overall, but it just feels like a team that's missing talent, and that's why I don't really kind of take them seriously as a long, I guess, Super Bowl contender. But I think they're going to win enough games, 10 to 11, maybe 12. And I think this game is going to show a lot who they really are because when they faced a contender last week, it really came out and they got exposed a little bit. But like you mentioned, they don't have a running game in Houston, and maybe that'll be okay for them.
Yeah, and then Mixon was back. I feel a little bit better about the Texans, but he hasn't practiced again, so I just don't see him playing. The high ankle sprain is really bad, and so I'm just surprised they didn't put him on IR. I guess they expected him to be back. But let me get to some of these comments before we move on, Gilbert,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll fly by here. Adir says, Gilbert, I'm not buying the Texans. They in a bad division. Bills played hungry Ravens team. I got the Bills big 27-13.
Wow.
Remember I told you Patriots will get smoked. You didn't
Yeah.
listen.
Okay.
There we go.
Hey,
DC says, is Say Flowers droppable or is he a bench stash? I'm leaning bench. I'm also kind of excited about BTJ in Carolina.
BT is who's
I
BTJ?
I want to say, well, Jonathan Brooks might be coming back in Carolina. That's
I'm
the only
thinking
person.
I'm thinking he means Jacksonville. Brian Thomas Jr. That's my guess here, but
Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. in Jacksonville.
But
Yeah,
DZ, I would stash Zay Flowers. He's not a guy I'm comfortable starting. Like, maybe you have injuries. Okay, put him in there. He's still the number 1
yeah,
wide
Brian
receiver.
Thomas.
Okay, Brian Thomas. But Zay Flowers is the number 1 guy in Baltimore, but they're just not consistent with the passing attack. It's going to be a lot of Derrick Henry, a lot of improvising for Lamar Jackson. He's going to give passes to Isaiah likely, but he's still the number 1 wide receiver. So you got to keep guys like that. But yes, Brian Thomas Jr. is legit. DZ, go ahead and maybe play him a couple times.
I'm
I
starting him. I have him in one of my
yeah,
leagues.
I was just gonna say they're playing kind of a so-so Colts defense secondary, so why not this week? So and then Athir, I like how you brag about your victories, but you got a couple wrong last week too.
Yeah,
But
the
but
Jets
that
and
one,
Broncos one.
yeah, I was wrong about the Patriots. They definitely had no pride last week, Athir, but good call for you.
Yeah, Boltillo says Nico is a beast, but don't disrespect JJ.
How
But
did I
yeah,
just do you just
yeah,
hate on my takes, Portillo? I said Nico Collins and Justin Jefferson are the 2 best wide receivers in the NFL. But sure,
yeah.
you want to put JJ number 1, go ahead. But you look at the stat line, it's Nico Collins.
Yeah, and then I just want to I'm gonna go through some of these real quick. It says what is a good defense that Houston has played. They played Minnesota and they got kind of exposed there, as you mentioned as well. And then one more from DC. He says I'm trying to trade Jaden and Neighbors to a Commanders fan for Jay Allen and Jetta is wishing me luck.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be good. Neighbors is dealing with an injury.
I don't think he
Jaden,
played this week.
I don't think so either. Josh Allen, obviously, he's a quarterback. Me, I don't really care too much about quarterbacks, but Justin Jefferson, definitely got to get him.
All right, Gilbert, let's move on to our next game, our second tier games. Up first is Cowboys at Steelers. The Steelers are 2.5 point favorites. The money line is -135, and the over under is 44. Where are you starting off with this matchup?
Yeah, I like the Cowboys here, and I'm not gonna say they're one of my upset specials of the week, but I will definitely take the +2.5 here. I even picked the Cowboys straight up. I'm off to a good start. I picked the Falcons. I'm surprised nobody at SI.com picked the Falcons besides me. So I like those when I get them by myself and I get them right. Everybody went Buccaneers, but a couple people went with the Cowboys here, and they're a tough play though, but I think the Steelers' offensive line issues are the reason why I think I want to go with the Cowboys, and maybe they'll steal it outright too. And obviously there's no Michael Parsons to put pressure. Well, I'm not sure about Micah. Victor, maybe you know about that one, but I know he's been injured, and
Yeah,
maybe
Lawrence and
yeah,
Micah. I don't think play in this game.
yeah. So it could be a long shot, but the reason why I still focus on the offensive line is this team really struggles to generate points even without facing a lot of pressure. And they kind of need the offensive line to be together and sync to get the running lanes for Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, getting enough protection for Justin Fields. But let's say CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott just have a great game against that. I think you mentioned this, Victor, on Tuesday, where the Steelers secondary got exposed a little bit, and
Yep.
it's not going to be Joe Flacco and Michael Pittman. It's going to be CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. Say they get 20 points, maybe they get a couple of touchdowns, they get a couple of downfield bombs, and they get to 20 points. Can you trust Justin Fields to do that? I know the Cowboys defense is not good, but with the offensive line, I think it's really going to be a big factor. And I will take the points, and I'll even take the Cowboys straight up here, Vic.
Yeah, and to a couple comments, and then we'll get to Keith's taps fantasy question real quick. And DC is asking, isn't the Cowboys run defense horrible? I start any Steeler running back. The problem is that the Steeler running backs and that offensive line hasn't been good for most of this season so far. Like, yes, the center for the Steelers is probably a top 3 center in the league already as a rookie. But outside of that, and I like what Mike, when you give Mike Zimmer like a bunch of scraps, he's gonna make something good out of it. I saw something a little bit better from that team against the Giants. They have the same kind of defensive scheme that you're gonna see from the Steelers. They have better players. The thing is, as you mentioned, I just like the weapons that the Cowboys have in this game. Also, we're talking about a regular season game. We're not talking about the Cowboys in the playoffs. I just
Yeah.
I just like them in this situation. We know that they are going to win regular season games, so I do like the Cowboys in this game as well. I just think they have more
Okay.
weapons offensively, and so that's why. All right, Gilbert. We're both picking the Cowboys in this game. So, but Keith Tab says uh, he's got 10. I'm guessing 10 men PPR Swift or A Chain. Pick one wide receiver: Hill, Deontay, Shashid, Ayuk, and Wandell. Started London already. Opponent started Mooney.
Oh.
Can I give you an update? I think Deontay Johnson might not play. I think he's hurt.
Mm. Well, Keith, you're off to a good start with London. He went off today. I think it was 12 catches, 154 yards, and a touchdown. Mooney did go. I say had Mooney had 2 touchdowns, so maybe that's kind of even right there. But I don't want any part of the Dolphins right now, Keith. Like no Tua. They've looked terrible. Achan couldn't do anything last week. I take DeAndre Swift coming off a good game last week. I know they played the Rams defense, but uh, the Bears are playing the Panthers, so
Yeah.
the Panthers defense is kind of whatever. And then he said, pick one from here. And again, Tyreek Hill, it's that time to bench him. I don't care what the Dolphins do. Deontay, you mentioned, is hurt. Shaheed, Ayik, Wandell. Uh, well, Shaheed's
Wandell, because if you're asking me, because what's his name? Neighbors is not going to play. He's on concussion protocol, and he hasn't practiced the first. And he's just going to get you. It's a PPR league, so he's going to get you a bunch of targets and receptions.
yeah, if it wasn't a PPR, I would have stayed away because I think Wandell needs neighbors, I guess, to take the focus off him,
Yeah,
and then
true.
he kind of two 2 yard, 3 yard dump off, and then by the end of the night, it's like 10 points because he has 10 receptions. So I'm with that. I kind of want to give Ayuk a chance here. Sure, he's playing the same. Sorry, he's playing the Chiefs defense, so that's a trouble one. But either Ayuk or Wanda, I'm okay with here for Keith.
Yeah, we got one more here for Julian Garcia. He says, Fields, Breeze, Ford, DK, Drake, Wandale, and I have Singletary, Odunse, Jay Brooks, Bucky, Puka on the bench. Should I be patient with Puka? I won't have any wide receiver bye weeks before his return.
All right, so Fields, Breeze, Ford, DK, Drake, Wandell, and I have Singletary. Okay, so this is a trade here, or
I think he's just asking, should he be patient with Puka?
oh, okay, yeah, I think so. After you got one more or like 2 weeks, right? The Packers game and the bye week, and if you have one of those spots where you could put them on IR, I say keep them stashed there. And I think regardless if the Packers, sorry, the Rams go 1-4 against the Packers, they're still going to be competing, and they're going to try to win a couple of games with Puka Nacua back. So I say wait it out.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you waited out at this point. I hopefully you have an IR spot where you can put him. If you don't, I would still be patient with him. He should be back, and then maybe like during the playoffs he takes off, and you have him. You can slot him in into when the playoffs begin. So just try to be patient. All right, our second tier game is Ravens Bengals. Gilbert, where do you want to start with this one? And then the Ravens are -2.5 point favorites. The money line is -142, and the over under is 49 in this game.
Yeah, this is one of my tough ones, but this is one of my upset specials. I'm going with the Bengals here, and so obviously I'll take the +2.5, and even I'll take the Bengals to win outright here. And I think I go back to just the offense here for Joe Burrow and T Higgins and Jamar Chase. They've had it figured out the last couple of weeks, and I think the Ravens defense has kind of been a little so-so with the new defensive coordinator. Obviously, they played much better against the Bills last week, but that was more playing keep away with Lamar Jackson. They were killing the clock and getting touchdowns, and that was more an offensive performance there with Derrick Henry going off also early in that game. So, say you get into a shootout, maybe at that point you favor the home team like tonight. The Falcons were at home, they were in a
Yeah.
shootout, and they got the ball bounced their way. So, and the other thing too, Vic, before I give it to you here for the takeaway, it feels like the Bengals just needed a little more. Obviously they're 1-3. The Ravens are 2-2. It's a divisional rival. You're probably thinking about tiebreakers in the divisional standings. I think being at home and having a little more pressure, I could see the Bengals winning this one in a shootout.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think I like the Bengals in this game as well. I went against it just because we were doing our picks, and we made a rule where all of us can't pick the same team just because just to kind of be fair to everybody. But I really do like the Bengals in this game. They're at home. It's a division game. That the Bengals are gonna eventually win one of these games at home. They're gonna go 1-1 against each other. This is a perfect prime opportunity. And then the Bengals usually start slow, and then their season takes off in October. So I'm expecting that to be the case. I understand that they kept the Panthers around last week, but they were on the road. I just think that offense is finally clicking, and we saw that with the Ravens. The way the Raiders beat them was with Devontae Adams, and I just feel like with some of the weapons that Joe Burrow has, where he can throw the ball down the field. I think that's the way where we're gonna see a big Jamar Chase game. If you have him in fantasy, I start him. I think Higgins is gonna have a big game as well. But yeah, I really like the Bengals in this game. I'm with you.
Yeah, no, good points there on the way on how the Ravens lost that Raider game. So we'll see what Jamar Chase does there, and you never know. Sometimes these AFC North rivalry games are a little strange. You think once when you think you have it figured out, it's probably going to go the other way. But we'll see how these Bengals do in this matchup. And you're right, Victor. When the calendar turns from September to October, they tend to be a little better.
Yeah, and then Thier says that the Bengals season's on the line, so it must be a win game in the AFC. But the Bengals make too many mistakes, so he's going with the Ravens there.
All right.
All right, Gilbert. this is we've been answering some questions here. Usually we make this our fantasy and betting and pop culture thing, but because we've been answering questions, just keep sending us questions and we'll answer them in between segments, just because we got started a little late because of the Monday Night Football game. So all right, Gilbert, let's get to our betting our betting locks of the week 5, our 5 best bets from yourself, Gilbert, and myself. Last week I got 4 out of 5 right, and then you got 3 out of 5 right. Our
Okay.
totals now is, you because you hit the on the big five and I miss on the five. You're up to 27 points. Actually I haven't updated this. Never mind. So can you explain to people how our system works and how we go about picking our 5 best, while I change the our update
Yeah.
our points for the season?
Yeah, so we just give you guys our best 5 bets of the week here, and we kind of rank them from the one we're most confident in, and the first one being worth 5 points, and then 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point, and so on. And then at the end of the year, we just tally them up, and I guess it's kind of like a little competition: who got the most bets right, or who made the most money throughout the year. And so far, I'm off to a good start here, but the way this game is set up, if you have a rough week and somebody gets 15 points and you get 2 or 3, Victor could definitely come back very quickly. So,
Yeah,
uh,
so you're up 38 points to 23. Yeah, so yeah, even though I got 4 of them right, I missed on that 5 pointer. So that kind of cost me. You hit on the big 5 pointer, and so that was a big difference this week. So I mean, we're doing good. We've gotten a little better. We're starting to see the trend, so that's kind of cool to see. But let's start off with yours, Gilbert. Your week 5 best bets.
Before we do that, I see a couple questions. Even though I'll
Okay.
even answer this Voltio question here real quick. Carne asada fries or California burrito? Voltio, I don't know if you're a San Diego person, but if you are, you're probably gonna favor the California burrito with Fernando. I don't have a big preference here, but you know what? I think it's Fernando talks about the California burrito very heavily. He's big on that type of burrito there, and I've had it a couple times. I'll go with that. I think the carne asada fries could be good, but sometimes they're kind of hit or miss. Like if you don't eat them right away, they get soggy very quick. And then I hate it when people just put guacamole in my carne asada fries. I hate that. Yeah, make them extra soggy. Yes, I don't like avocado here. If you don't know by now, but I'll go with the California burrito here.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, can I just say I'm good with either one? I mean, I don't think you can mess either one up, but if I had to choose one, I was recently introduced to the California burrito when we started doing the show. I had not had one until I went down to San Diego and we kind of had a meeting, the compas meeting down in San Diego. But honestly, with the carne asada fries, I'm not a like I don't like, you can't mess these up. Like if you can find a good spot where they make both, I just feel like if I'm gonna have the best California burrito, I gotta go to San Diego, and I just feel like with the carne asada fries, I gotta be here in LA. So it just depends on where you're at. If you're in LA, you're gonna go with carne asada fries. If you're down in San Diego, as you mentioned, you're gonna get a California burrito. So yeah, yeah, it just depends on where you're from, and I'm gonna go with the asada fries just because I'm from over here in LA. And then let's go. DC says playing against each other. Which defense are you going with? I have both Vikings or Jets.
I'll go with the Vikings here defense because they bring a lot of pressure, and I don't know. It just seems like the Jets, don't have any answers to give the ball to their best playmaker, and that's Garrett Wilson. Obviously, maybe you can make a case for Brees Hall. Brees Hall had a horrendous game against the Broncos. I think he had 10 carries for 4 yards. I couldn't believe when I saw that stat line. So they're not really clicking offensively, and the Vikings have been obviously one of the best defenses in the NFL. Then you get old man Rodgers, who probably can't move around too much. I'll take them in this matchup.
Got one more fantasy question. Should I trade Bijan for Taylor 1 for 1?
Uh, well, first of all, you got to see Jonathan Taylor's injury. Is it a 1 week thing? Could it be a couple weeks, 3 weeks? That's kind of the tricky part. I mean, it could be maybe 1 week. You don't know. But obviously, right now, Jonathan Taylor has been more productive than Bijan Robinson. Uh, I know Bijan didn't have the best game. He missed out on the party tonight. But I think I'll be a little more patient here, especially now that the Falcons' offense is clicking. When you got the passing game going, maybe defense is focused more on the passing open up a little more lanes for Bijan.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I'd wait. You got to be patient still. I mean, I get it. Like everybody wants to get, that's one thing. I almost made that mistake today, Gilbert. And I'll be honest, like I didn't get any points from Pitts, last week, and
Mm.
I went and I picked up Auden from the Bucks, and I put him into my starting lineup, and then I felt bad about it. I was like, no, watch, this is a game that Kyle Pitts is going to do something, and sure enough, I put him back in the starting lineup, and I wouldn't say he went off, but he had a good game. So
Yeah.
sometimes you just got to be patient with your guys. So I just feel that way. So. I think you have to I think you have to just be patient with your guys, and then I think like around week 5 or week 7 is when you should start kind of if you're that's when you should start thinking about making trades. But if you can get ahead of it, like the CMC trade where you can go ahead and trade CMC out, like we told everybody last week, go ahead and do it. Like you're trying to get ahead of it. So maybe if you can get Bijan right here now, it might be the best way, or to trade him away because you think Taylor might have a good season. You try to do it now.
Yeah, I have CMC in my other league, and people are trying to take advantage of me, and I'm like, no, I'll keep holding on to him until I get an actual real offer here. So I think somebody tried to give me an injured Joe Mixon, and then Jordan Love. I'm like, I can find a quarterback on the wire. Mixon's not even playing right now. What else you got? But yeah, to share another story there for me.
And then DC is giving us that recommendations. He says, if you guys are ever in Escondido, California, go to Gilberto's. That is in a AMPN if it's still there.
Gilberto's.
Yeah, that was my go-to for carne fries. I live in Maryland now, where my Mexican
Ah,
fast food doesn't exist.
okay. Oh man, that sucks. But hopefully you're enjoying Maryland, DC. But yeah, we'll check that out. We're over in Escondido, California, and I think
Yeah.
Portillo's answered my question. He's from the OC,
Yes,
so he's in the
in the
middle.
middle, and
Prefer the style fries. Again, I
yeah.
don't really have a preference, but yeah, guac is not life, and guac is terrible. I don't care what people think.
Yeah, and at the end we'll talk about we'll get into the Chargers in a little bit. We'll go through some of these games and we'll answer your questions. So just be patient, and we'll make sure to get your question in. All right, Gilbert, give us your top
Yeah.
5 best bets. Let's start out with your number 5.
Yeah, I'm a little worried because I'm gonna change my method a little bit. I've been going with heavy underdogs and taking their plus point, and that's been doing pretty well for me. But I don't know. I maybe it's just I'm going back to my old habits, but I don't really like a lot of underdogs this week. I don't feel comfortable enough with a lot of them, so I'm like, maybe this is a week where like the trend ends for a little bit. So maybe I'm okay with it. Do it. It's still kind of a couple upsets in there, but I couldn't find another one, Victor. So for this one, and I didn't feel confident about any of them. That's why
Yeah,
I didn't make one my 5 pointer. But for the 5 points here, I'm going with the Bengals Ravens over 49. It's a big total line, but Bengals have a bad defense, good offense. They could probably make this easy for me if they drop 30 points on the Ravens. I know the Ravens defense is still very good, not as good as last year, but uh, speaking of the Bengals' terrible defense, that Ravens offense looks pretty good. So maybe they kind of get into this 27-24 game. That's 51 points right there. Just having good offenses with some so-so defenses, I'll take the chance here. And I think somebody told me, check out my weekly betting column at si.com. I want to say I can't remember the person's name. I talked to multiple people, but one of the bookmakers in Las Vegas mentioned that I think 7 of the last 8 games between the Ravens and the Bengals, the over has hit. So why not continue the trend there? That'll be my 5-point game
yeah,
of the
no,
week. Go
yeah,
ahead.
no. I was just gonna say, the way this usually works, just to kind of let people behind the curtain here, the way we do things is I usually let Gilbert put in his bets, and then I work around that just so we can get some of these games in and talk about them. So that's the way we kind of do things. And then when I saw this one, I was like, oh man, he took one of the ones I was thinking about using. But you're right. Like, I mean, we've seen the Bengals offense kind of go on a tear now. And then we talked about this. The Ravens have found their identity. So offensively. So I like this over. This was one of those. I actually put this on my parlay for this week because I like it so much. All right, Gilbert, you're number 4.
Yeah, no, Vic, because you're playing catch up. Go ahead and get the best bets. I don't want to hear any excuses at the end of the year
No, no,
saying
no
that
excuses.
you're
No
going off of
excuses.
me.
No.
But yes, feel free to get your picks in. And then my 4 pointer, uh, this one just because the trend is if you have a more than 6.5 points, they tend to hit. I know last week the 49ers took care of business against the Patriots. Deer got that one right. But I'm gonna go with the Cardinals plus 7.5 versus the 49ers. Again, a divisional matchup. I know I'm kind of souring on the Cardinals, but I think they're a little better than they've been. Uh, it's just the offense can't click. Like when Kyler Murray throws to Marvin Harrison, they're doing okay, but you got to have a little more explosiveness with the rest of the offense. James Conner has struggled too, but I'll say they kind of try to pick it up. They are 1-3, a little bit of a pressure game. They'll keep it close. I'm not saying they'll win, but give me the Cardinals plus 7.5
Yeah,
in
I like
Santa
this
Clara.
one, and I'll say this, Gilbert, just to give you one thing here. I've been really disappointed with what I've seen from Drew Petzing. I mean,
Mm.
he can draw up running a good running game, but passing wise, I mean, it's been terrible just to see Marvin Harrison. It's like that whole thing where they talk about like you have a Ferrari and you just have it in the garage. All they're having him do is just do they're just having him run like deep shots, and that's it. Like you have to do better concepts, to scheme him up and get him open, Gilbert. All right, your number three.
Yeah, I'll be a little quicker now, just for
Yeah.
the sake of time. My 3 pointer, give me the Saints plus 5.5 versus the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are a little banged up. Yes, they're playing at home. Yes, they have a good defense to shut down Derek Carr. But I think the Saints are a little better than they were last week. They'll probably recover. Hopefully, they're healthy. Kamara, Olave, Shaheed. Uh, the biggest thing is Kamara getting a balance for Derek Carr, because if they're not balanced, he can't take the deep shot downfield, and they've lost the last 2 weeks because they don't have the deep shot. So we'll see what they do there. Number two, give me the Packers -3 versus the Rams. There, I haven't been going with any -3, but because we keep a close eye on the Rams, that Rams defense is not good. The Packers offense is very explosive. Yes, they're 0-2 with Jordan Love. They are 2-2 overall. But I could definitely see them lighting up the Rams here. Give me the Packers -3. And then for my 1 pointer, just because I probably would have raised them a little higher with the Bengals being plus 2.5 at home, but they already blew it against the Commanders when they were the favorites. They blew it against the Patriots when they were the favorites. So I don't want to get burned by these Bengals again. So I put them at 1 pointer right here, Vic.
Yeah, I like that one. I didn't add it, but it's a one, so you're good there. That's a good one. Let me go through some of these comments. DC says I got the cars covering. If McBride did practice today full, so he should be a go on Sunday. He's coming back from concussion protocol, and then he says Chiefs finds ways to win. They look so beatable, taking the spread with the Saints. So he's with you there. All right, Gilbert, I'm going to give you my five this week. My number five is the Bills and Texans over 47.5.
Mm.
I just like these two teams are going to score points. As I said, both of their defenses haven't been great. They're very beatable. I think these two offenses are going to move the ball on each other. Uh, I'm going to Denver for this one. This line went way down, and once I saw it go way down in terms of the over under, I'm hitting on this over here. The Broncos and Raiders 35.5. These two teams, I know they're not great offensively, but I just feel like the defenses are going to force some turnovers here. They're going to be able to set up their offenses in short fields and score some touchdowns here. My number three is Browns plus 3.5 versus the Commanders. Everybody's already out on the Browns. This is
Yeah.
a good game where they can come back. Their defense, I think, matches up well against that offense. Everybody's giving praise to Cliff Kingsbury, which was a revenge game against Arizona. Every time people give up on teams, I'm always like, this is the time you jump. As a better, you jump on those lines. 3.5, hell yeah, give me that 3.5. We talked about this game already. Cowboys plus 2.5 versus the Steelers. This is easy for me. And then my number one, I didn't want to take a chance on this as a higher thing, but give me the Jets as plus three going to
Mm.
London. If this game, as I've been telling everybody that would listen, I like the Vikings, but the fact is, if this game was in Minnesota, I would have bet the Vikings in this one. You're having to go to London. You're going from Minnesota all the way to London. You have the Jets who are on a shorter flight. that, and then like I said, they got embarrassed last week against the Broncos. Nobody's gonna pick the Jets in this game. Give me the Jets +3 here. And then my 3 leg parlay that I've been doing. I missed it last week with that over under between the Steelers and Colts. So we're going back over. We're gonna hit all the overs here, Gilbert. Ravens, Bengals, Bills, Texans, and Raiders, Broncos. So that is my parlay for this week. And then one more thing, Gilbert, before we move on to the rest of the games. 4 teams are on bye weeks this week, so make sure that you make the changes there for some of the teams, for some of your fantasy players who might be on bye weeks. The Lions, Chargers, and Eagles and Titans. And this is a perfect opportunity here to ask the question from Atir. He says, Gilbert, be honest. Do you see Coach Harbaugh getting involved in the offense after the bye week? Bo Nix, good luck. Mincher, have 2 weeks to prepare for a rookie. I am not worried.
Yeah, that's a good point about the bye week and getting 2 weeks to prepare for rookie quarterback. Obviously, I'm very high on the Broncos defense. We'll see what they do against the Raiders. So uh, I don't know. I think we've been talking about this at the year where I think Jim Harbaugh has a he's a lot of respect for Greg Roman. I don't think he's going to meddle in too much just yet. Obviously, he's still heavily involved. He's a head coach of the team. He's a former quarterback. He knows offense pretty well. So maybe it's the same amount. I'm not saying he's going to take over anything, but say if it gets pretty rough, halfway point in the season, it's just too early right now. Again, I think people are freaking out way too soon about Greg Roman. I think I saw DZ's comments saying Kirk Cousins going off and Justin Herbert not doing anything. I know it's frustrating for Chargers fans right now, but I don't think things are going to change too much there. But it's a good thing that they have a bye week to prepare for 2 weeks here for Bo Nix.
Yeah, I mean, and there's not a lot to prepare for Bo Nix. If I'm being completely honest, the running game has kind of started to kind of take off there, and they're doing a lot better things defensively. I think the biggest surprise is, the MVP of that team has been Vance Joseph and what he's been able to do with that defense, as I brought it up earlier. But let's get to these comments before we finish up the show, and we give you guys the rest of the games, and we give you our picks. He says, Virgin Steve says, "What up? Trade away Najee and Worthy to get Asian half PPR."
No, I will not do that. I will strongly advise you not to go and get stuck on the Dolphins. They're not doing anything right now. Virgin Steve, nice name there.
Yeah.
But I know Najee's offensive line is a little banged up, but they're okay. He's okay. Worthy could maybe get a lot of more, I guess, plays for him now that Rashee Rice is out. Obviously, no Rashee Rice means more attention on Xavier Worthy, but I just don't want any part of the Dolphins right now. They can't score points. They were terrible against the Titans. They were terrible against the Seahawks. And when you fall behind in games, it's tough to get HN involved in games too.
Yeah, and then now you have the Patriots, who I get they're a little bit beat up, but I mean it's going to be a tough sledding without Tua, and who knows when he's going to be back. DC was I was about to disagree with Vic, but he made a good point about the defense with the turnovers and the good field position. Saying about the Broncos, the Raiders over, and then he's also asking, aren't the fields in London usually slugging, or am I tripping?
Usually they're like a little slippery. Usually the international games definitely have little issues there. But
Yes,
I see somebody paid us. Thank you,
yes.
Paul. Thank you, Paul Adam. He is asking, or he got offered a trade. Go ahead and read it, Vic.
Yeah, trade off for Reed, Cook, and Chubb for Jettas. Hunt and Eckler. I have Jettas right now, and let me know if wants to know.
Want to
Want
know?
to know my roster.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and add more context if you can. Paul, you paid us, so go ahead and add another comment. With Jaden Reed, Cook, Chubb for Jettas, Hunt, and Eckler. I have Jettas right now. Let me know if you want to know more. Okay, so he has Justin Jefferson, and he will get Reed, James Cook, Nick Chubb. I think people should really wait on Nick Chubb until he plays a game. Can he come back from those gruesome knee injuries? I think there was multiple injuries, so that's a little tough for me. I like James Cook. I like Jaden Reed. So you kind of get two players from one very good one. Eckler, Hunt, I really don't care for, but I know Victor, you have Justin Jefferson and James Cook, but I think I'd
Yeah,
rather keep Justin Jefferson right now.
yeah. I would rather. I'm keeping Justin Jefferson right now. Unless you get something better than Reed or Chubb, I like the Cook one. I just wouldn't give a. I need to get something better than those two other guys for me to trade away Jettas. Like it has to be a little bit of like somebody needs to throw in something a little bit better than that from that trade for me to go for it. And trade away Justin Jefferson. All right, let me get to some more of these. Adam A 123 says start Chase Brown or Kareem Hunt this week.
Kareem Hunt is back on the Chiefs, in case you forgot, and they're playing the Saints. And Chase Brown is on the Bengals playing the Ravens. Uh, Chase Brown has kind of been. I think he had a better game last week, Victor. He's
Yeah,
kind of
he
been.
over 25 point fantasy
Yeah,
points.
yeah. So he had a so-so start to the season, so maybe he could pick it up now. Uh, I don't know. I don't know about Kareem. I don't know about the committee in Kansas City. Kareem Hunt, Carson Steele, Samaje Perine. So I'm okay. Keep riding with Chase Brown. I'm sure you are too, Vic.
Yeah, I go that way. I'm with you there. He also says start Garrett Wilson, Josh Down, or Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir hasn't practiced the last 2 days, so that's and Josh Downs had a good game, and then you Garrett Wilson just has been in the doghouse. I don't know what to do with
Mm.
Garrett Wilson.
Y- You know what? Obviously, because your options are not the best here, I will go Garrett Wilson, but I'll give you some analysis here. When a wide receiver, a disgruntled one, speaks out and says, "Where's the creativity to my offense?" He's not a crappy player, so he's not gonna go to the doghouse. So they're gonna, I think, scheme up more plays for him to keep him happy. And here's where I think he might have a big game. It could be boom or bust, but when you blitz that much, like Brian Flores likes to do, and he has an old man Rogers going to try to blitz him up, single coverage, maybe beat the defense over the safety, a couple of touchdowns with Garrett Wilson. That could definitely happen in this game, but it takes a lot to pull a couple of fast ones on Brian Flores. But you will get opportunities when he blitz so much for Garrett Wilson to go off.
Yeah, I like that. Angel Salcedo says, "What up, compas? Damn, Gilberto staying up late, but he does have a question for us. It's good to hear from you, Angel. Love seeing you on all our channels. Should I drop Rashad White for JSN?
Jackson Smith and Jigba. Yeah, he's been okay. He hasn't had the best season, but he's doing better with this Ryan Grubb offense in Seattle. Yeah, I'm done with Rashad White. I had to play him this week because I have J.K. Dobbins on the bye week. I don't have the best running backs, to be honest. I have Kenneth Walker, who really played well for me last week. Uh, but I also picked up Tank Bigsby on the wire. But I told myself, do I really want to trust Doug Peterson to feed Bigsby? He doesn't want to feed him for some reason. Who's been better as a pure running back than ETN. ETN gives you more value as an all-around running back. But when it comes to being kind of a physical runner, he's better, and you won't give him the ball. So I just overthought it, and I put Rashad White, and he had okay game. I think he gave me like 10 points, but I'm starting to get fed up there. But maybe Bucky Irving soaking on the sideline and fumbling gets more points there for Rashad White. I know I kind of giving you two answers. Maybe Vicky could help out, but I think I would do it, but it's kind of like maybe one of those things. Maybe you wait out one more week. I don't know, Vic.
Yeah, I would wait. I mean, Bucky Irving, I started him too, and I was thinking I just needed just give me some points just because I have Saquon on a bye this week, so I was like, just give me whatever points you give me. If you can give me more than 5 points, I'll take it. I Kyle Pitts helped me out tonight, so I would keep Rashad White for one more week,
Okay.
and then I would drop him depending,
Yeah.
or try to trade them, see if you can get. Let's go through these real quick. Joe Kingsley, I have Najee in a flex, and Jordan Addison on my bench. Is this the right move?
Okay. So Najee in the flex, Jordan Anderson on the bench.
I would start Jordan Addison
Yeah,
if I'm being.
they are playing the Jets. He did get two touchdowns, no, or one. I forget what he got last week, but yeah, Najee, like we mentioned earlier in the show, he has a banged up offensive line. I know he's not playing a good Cowboys defense, a defense that can't stop the run. But I like this. I talk about buying stock on offenses. I think the Vikings are definitely one of those teams you want to buy stock in, not the Dolphins. So I'm with Victor here. Get Jordan Anderson in your lineup.
Yeah, and then Augusto says, my running backs are Hall, Kamara, Ford, Dobbins, Hunt, Chubb. My wide receivers are London, Neighbors, Goodwin, Pittman, Deontay Johnson, and my tight end is Bowers. What you do, Chubb and Godwin for Deontay for Lamb? That's gonna be hard to for somebody to try to that.
Okay,
That's you
you probably
gotta
have to
put
give
in
up all
work.
3. It can't be no or.
Yes,
But even that wouldn't get you enough. I know Godwin had a good game today. To get CeeDee Lamb is gonna be difficult. Uh,
yes,
and it's I'm trying to think about players that he has. Maybe he wants to give up on. Maybe well, you have London. I don't know. So he has London, Neighbors. Yeah, it's got to be one of those 2 to get him. London or
yeah,
Neighbors has to be involved with Lamb. London's stock is high right now because of what he did on Thursday Night Football. Maybe you
yep.
want to be on that train because it might take off, but we do know the Falcons tend to go cold and go up and down. But if you really want CeeDee Lamb, I think it's worth the risk here if you give up Drake London. I know you don't want to give up some of these players, but it might take more like Victor mentioned here.
Yeah, we have Elijah Bunda says, any help? I have CMC and I'm 1-3. Do I sell for more depth at wide receiver as I have Kyron Williams and ATN? But my wide
Mm.
receivers are Godwin, Ayuk, Waddle, Robinson, and McConley.
Okay, so CMC is hurt, obviously, and he has Kyron and ETN. I don't know if I will. It's so hard to get depth at running back. You know, Kyron Williams is doing well right now, but one injury away, and then you're stuck with ETN, and that's it. It's
Yeah,
always hard for me to give up. Like, there's times where I take that too seriously. I'll be honest here with the running back depth, and it doesn't let me execute trades. Our friend Oscar really wanted to get my running backs because he only had Derrick Henry, and I'm like, I can't give it up. But he's like, I'm offering you DK and some other guys, and obviously DK is doing well for the right trade, obviously. But it's just so hard for me to give up on my running back depth, and you're one injury away from having just one
yeah.
running back.
And that's why I always make sure I keep two of those running backs because you just never know. Somebody might drop somebody. Just go and pick them. Like right now, one guy is Rashawn Johnson from the Bears. Because just because you don't know what's going to happen with Swift, there's guys out there that you need to make sure you're handcuffing just in case. Just because there's not a lot of, especially with your bye weeks, you need to make sure. That's why I picked up Bucky Irving, and I said, hey, as long as I get some points, I'll take it right now. Going back to Paul Adam, this is his roster: QB, Darnold, Anthony Richardson, Jettas, Deontay Johnson, Kyron Williams are his running backs, Swift, tight end Mark Andrews, and flex Hunt, bench Pollard, and Shakir.
Okay, I'm
So
like,
going back to the trade
yeah,
offer.
okay, so he'll get Reed and James Cook in this offer, and he has go back to the other one, Victor here.
Let me see if I can go back. There we go. And then this is his roster. At quarterback, he's got Darnold, Anthony Richardson. His receivers are Jettas, Deontay Johnson, Kyrian Williams, Swift. Tight end is Mark Andrews. His flex is Hunt, and then in his bench he's got Pollard. I like what Pollard did. I just don't know if you can continue to
Yeah.
get that from him.
Yeah, I get why he wants to get James Cook because obviously you want to get another running back to go with Kyron. But I like your quarterback options. I like your star wide receiver. I think just giving up Justin Jefferson, who you probably got in the first round, it's just too much for me to give up. I think
Yeah.
about that too, the draft value, because Jaden Reed, you probably got in the fifth, sixth round. James Cook maybe second or third. I guess when you put them together, maybe, but it's still hard for me to do that, Victor.
Yeah, and he's got I wait too because I mean if you have he has I understand Mark Andrews hasn't, but Hawkinson's gonna come off of IR
Mm.
soon. So if he has that, I would stay put. Adam says, should I drop Rashid Rice? I don't What do you think?
Uh, the way they took forever to put him on IR kind of makes me feel like he might come back at the end. If you have a spot available in the IR, hold on. If you don't, then I guess you're gonna have to make a tough decision. But I will wait for more information to come out. I actually have Rasheed Rice in the league that me and Victor are in, and just to see the hesitation that they have makes me feel like he might come back like in December or something. So I'll hold on to him just in case because I do have that spot available.
Yeah, and that's why you should have an IR spot. Ivan Avina says random, but thank you guys for posting on Spotify. Enjoy listening to you guys
Hey,
at work. So that's
thank
awesome.
Thank you, Ivan. Because sometimes I feel like we're becoming more of a YouTube show. People got to see our pretty faces, and we kind of haven't, put more effort into the audio. And I feel like okay, we got to make sure we read these comments loud and clear because people can't see them when they're doing the audio.
Yes.
And so we got to be better with that. Ivan, thank you for being patient with that. When I see comments like that, it reminds me do better with audio, and we will do better for you. Thank you, Ivan.
Yes. And Angel says Chase Brown or Zach Moss. Who do I play on Sunday? I have both.
Uh, yeah, I would go with Chase Brown. I've never been a high end Zach Moss. I know Zach Moss had that one nice month against, I mean, with the Colts, but like you mentioned, Victor, 25 points. That's pretty good. But keep going with that.
Yeah, we have Elijah again. I was out for Metcalf and Pacheco for CMC and Ayuk, or just Devontae for CMC. At this point, if I'm being completely honest here, I'm sure you agree with this. If you can get rid of CMC, I do it just because we don't know. You're dealing with a guy who has two injuries we've never heard of, Gilbert.
Yeah, especially that Metcalf Pacheco one. Pacheco was going to come back. Metcalf has been on a tear. I will definitely take that deal. The one for it says CMC and Ayuk. Okay, that really makes you think, but Ayuk hasn't really done too much. I think maybe I will still do it. Devontae for CMC, no, I don't think Devontae is worth it. Especially say CMC does come back like in November or something, and he's actually there's nothing to be worried about. You're gonna be kicking yourself when Devontae's not getting anything because AJ Brown's taking all the targets.
Yeah. Uh, and he says at the we have it says Gilberto, I am selfish. I'm sorry, my bro. I am rooting for the Vikings and Bengals. Give me Baltimore and Jets 3 lose each while my team has a bye.
Okay.
Angel says, should I pick up Singletary to back up? Only thing is I have to drop White.
Rashad White, I'm assuming. Should I pick?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Should I pick up Singletary back up? Well, what the Singletary didn't really do much the last week. It's kind of like the
Uh,
same player, to be honest. But go ahead,
Right,
Victor.
but what is this? What is it? A one PPR league? Like, if it's a
Yeah,
PPR
good
league,
point.
yeah, then pick up Singletary. You're pretty much, like Singletary doesn't have anybody
Yeah.
behind him pushing him. And why do you have Bucky Irving,
Hmm.
behind him? So
Yeah, that's a
there's
good
also
reason.
that. And then DC says, crazy stat: Chiefs haven't had a team score over 30 points on them, for 25 games.
Mm.
Wow. And then also I saw one just almost like it. The Bears haven't allowed 20 points or more since last November, Gilbert. So the Bears defense is another
Oh.
one. If you see them in fantasy, go pick up the Bears defense. What do we have? Standard league. Singletary has been more consistent. Last week was bad.
Yes, Singletary didn't really do too much there, but like Victor mentioned, nobody's behind them. They might try to feed him a little more in Seattle because they don't have Malik Neighbors. So obviously, when you don't have
Yeah,
your
and
star wide
Seattle might
receiver,
be out of
oh yeah,
they're out. Their whole defensive line might be hurt.
they
So
were not good defensively in Detroit, but Detroit's Detroit. But yes, there is a lot of injuries there. So yeah, maybe Singletary does something in garbage time.
I know we got to go soon, Gilbert, but we have one more here from Michael Hart Jr. Lots of bench ones on my league tonight. Darnell Mooney, Drake London. I know some dudes are gutted right now.
Michael, I feel for you. I'm glad you shared that and you could share your pain here because we all know that feeling. To share some of my pain, I've had Jaden Reed on the bench all year, and he had 2 games where he popped out for 30 points. Obviously, when Jordan Love's on the lineup, so I'm going to start him this week because I have to and watch him go quiet. I hope not, but yeah, share your stories about some bad plays there in fantasy football. But Michael, hopefully it goes better. You never know. It's only Thursday. It's early in the week. Maybe the
Yeah.
players that you did start go off.
Yeah, if you want a story, I remember being down 75 points on Thursday night and I came back somehow, or I was up 75 and I still ended up losing on a third
Mm,
by the end of the week. So it's tough out there. So just stay with it. Angel also said Singletary is hurt. That's why I'm asking if I should pick up the backup. So I mean, yeah, like you can never go wrong, especially against that Seattle defense.
Is
You
it
never
Gray?
know.
I keep forgetting.
I guess I honestly don't even know who's behind him. I haven't even checked on that. All right, Gilbert, let's finish up here. Let's get to our last few games here. We have we just talked about it. Panthers at Bears. My Bears are 4-point favorites. The over under is 41. And like I said, the Bears have not allowed a team to score over 20 points since the middle of November of last year.
Real quick, Michael, it wasn't you're saying people in the league are gutted, not you. I'm glad. I feel better now for
Yes.
you, Michael. It's not about you. And thank you for the help there. Tyrone Tracy is the backup. Thank you
Yeah.
for the Giants there. And yeah, maybe pick up Tyrone Tracy if
There
Singletary
you go.
can't play. But yeah, good thing. And don't be shy again. We're gonna have a couple more picks here, but during this time, you have some fantasy football questions. Go ahead and drop them. This has been pretty cool. I think this is probably the most comments we've gotten, and I got worried
Yeah,
because it got late too because of Thursday night football. I
yeah.
went to overtime. It's gonna be a quiet show, and it hasn't. So that's been pretty cool. So I enjoy this right now. And go ahead and drop comments if you want. But go get one off the board right here. Panthers at Bears -4. I do not like the line, but I will take the Bears here to win. I'll take the Panthers to cover. If it was 3, maybe I'll take the Bears, but give me the Panthers +4, and I'll take the Bears to win this game here.
Yeah, yeah. Give me the Bears as well. Like I said, they haven't allowed a team to score over 20 points. My biggest thing with the Bears is their coach. He can coach defense. He's just make some bonehead decisions sometimes, but I think he should stay. He should be okay. Before we move on, Angel has a question. Says, do you guys know Fernando and Dan are having a show this week, even if it's just a trash talk, laugh out loud?
I don't know because I should check in, but I'll ask him, Angel, because I know Fernando's busy with the Padres and the playoffs, and then Dan is getting, I guess, prepared for I think a big rivalry matchup this week. So he's been all stressed out. I try my best to get him on the show on Tuesday, but he's busy. I get it. Some weeks you got to be locked in for. So I don't know, but knowing these guys, they might post something late in the week, like Friday morning. So they usually get one every week. So be on the lookout,
Yeah, but
Angel.
they're on a bye week, so I just
Oh, there
wonder. I
you
don't.
go. Oh, okay, yeah, I totally forgot about that. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I remember they mentioned that.
yes.
Sometimes they do try to get something in there, but like I mentioned, Padres playoffs, and then Dan having a big time game. I don't see that happening.
I think for sure next week, but um I just don't see that happening this week, just with you like you mentioned, with everything going on with the
Yeah, you're,
Padres
you're
and
stuck with
Fernando
us,
having.
Angel. It's been just
Yeah,
me and Victor this
exactly.
week.
Yeah. All right. Colts at Jaguars. The Jaguars are 2.5 point favorites. The over under is 45.5. Do the Jaguars get their first win, Gilbert?
Yeah, this is probably the week where the Jaguars bounce back, but this is a team that I want no part of until they do something. I'll believe it. But yeah, Joe Flacco and is it Trey Sermon? Because no Jonathan Taylor, maybe no Anthony Richardson. I know Richardson's been practicing, but even if it's Flacco and those guys, I'll take the Colts. Give me the
Oh
plus two
wow.
and a half. I don't know. The Jaguars just find ways to blow it. They seem like a team that could maybe start off 0-10. Yeah, they definitely should be favorite. Yeah, they're facing Joe Flacco, mate, but Joe Flacco knows how to win games. He won that game last week against the Steelers. So again, I want no part of the Jaguars. They tend to blow it, so give me the Colts here.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Jaguars get their first win in this game. I just think they're desperate for a win. So, yeah, I just think that that's the way they go. We got Michael Hart back. Michael Hart Jr. says I got to start Rico and Justice Hill at running back 2 this week in a PPR because I got both Gibbs and Pollard on a buy. Any opinions?
Justice Hill, I'm okay with. He gets involved a good amount. I know he's playing behind Derrick Henry, but he gets involved in the third down passing there. It may some PPR points that you get. Rico Dow is the one that scares me. The Cowboys cannot run the football, Vic.
Yeah, I'm with you, but if out of those two, I go with Rico. But man, I mean, at least you get some PPR points there from Justice Hill. He's been a receptions guy coming out of that backfield. DC says, Jags are tanking for Bill Belichick to make a. Yeah, it's looking like Bill Belichick might be taking over the Jaguars next season, Gilbert.
Yeah, supposedly he's the close friend of the Khan family there. So I can't wait till Bill Belichick calls a meeting and Tony Khan is saying, I can't come to the meeting because I'm doing AEW wrestling right now. So he would love that for sure. But I guess if you're Bill Belichick, you want to have a good quarterback in there. I'm still a little skeptical about Trevor Lawrence, but it could maybe happen. We'll see. A lot of options for Bill Belichick.
Yeah, Angel's asking, do you guys think Samir White gets more uses if Adam is traded?
You know this one better than I do, Victor.
Yeah.
But Samir White might be in the doghouse. He keeps
Yes.
fumbling. He's not doing well. Alexander Madison's been the better running back there. I keep looking at his snap count. It keeps getting smaller every week, so that's kind of a clear sign
Yeah,
right
it's
there.
it's time for Alexander Madison to be the number one guy there. He's doing more with less, and I think the guy that's going to benefit the most with Adams not being one guy is going to be Bowers. Bowers is going to get more usage, and then two guys to kind of keep an eye on are Trey Tucker and then also DJ Turner are two guys. If you have them on the wire, I'd go get especially Trey Tucker. He's been more involved. They used him a lot more last week. I know a lot of people went and picked up Jacoby Myers, but I think Trey Tucker is someone to kind of go and pick up if you have an open spot for a receiver.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Vic. Zamir White is definitely stock going
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, and then Michael Hart Jr. says, "I hope the Jacks get the ball to Brian Thomas Jr. since I'm starting him for the first time this
Yeah,
week."
I
Yeah,
think a lot of people are because
yeah,
of the bye weeks here, and he's been very good, very fun to watch. I know maybe in fantasy football you want more points, but he gets open. Trevor Lawrence does as much as he can to get the ball to him. He could definitely have a big game.
yeah. DC says one more here. Some random guy broke down Samir White and the Raiders this offseason on YouTube. Did a really good job, and I stayed awake. Yes, he was right. I didn't buy the hype. Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, we some of us fell for it. He's right. Like he came in bigger and yeah, he just hasn't lived up to the hype. All right, Gilbert, moving on here. Dolphins are 1 point favorites at the Patriots. Over under is 36.5. Just give me a pick here.
yeah, a game that I
You
really don't care about, and I don't want to think about it. But I'll get the Patriots at home. The Dolphins are terrible.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Patriots at home here. All right, Giants at Seahawks. The Seahawks. I'm surprised you didn't do this one for the Giants, but I think I know why you didn't go
Yeah.
with the line being 6.5 and the over under 43.5. Who do you like here?
Yeah, no Daniel Jones all the way in, sorry, no Malik Neighbors for Daniel Jones all the way to in Seattle. I could see him throwing a bunch of pick sixes here. You got to have Neighbors to make Daniel Jones be somewhat decent. So I couldn't take those points. Give me the Seahawks. And I don't feel good about the big line, but being at home, I think they'll cover.
Yeah, we got some people giving in their picks, so awesome to see that. Archer as D Wicks, our Shahid, Sack Moss at Flex this week. I'm super high on Wicks with the matchup and Watson out. Yes, Wicks, Wick.
Yeah,
Tell people why you go with Wicks here, Gilbert.
yeah, one, the Watson is out, so go ahead and put in Wicks. And I've been saying it all week. And the
Yes,
Rams secondary is not good. I could maybe go down the list for you. I know, no players really went off on the Bears. Well, DeAndre Swift did. Okay, but week one, Jameson Williams went off on the Rams secondary. Week two, who did they play? The Cardinals. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Cardinals.
went off on the Rams
Yeah,
secondary. Week three, Jawan
Jawan
Jennings got three
Jennings.
touchdowns. And then last week, DeAndre Swift. I think DJ Moore and Dunzia would have had better games if Caleb Williams didn't overthrow them. They were wide open. This defense, this secondary can't stop anybody. So Dontavius Wicks, Jaden Reed, anybody who's healthy on the Packers offense, go ahead and play them this week.
Yeah, Angel even asked, "Do you guys think Tucker Craft goes off?" Yes, pick up
Yeah, might as well.
you're talking to two guys who have a. We do a show for House of Horns on the Rams. Pick up all your Packer guys, Josh Jacobs, Tucker Craft, Dontavius Wicks. Yes, go and pick all those guys up. He Angel also wants to know, do I have to start Waddle this week? What do you guys think?
If you have to, go ahead. But Tyler Huntley or Snoop Huntley, I won't call him Snoop until he does better. But Huntley couldn't get the ball going to anybody. Skylar Thompson wasn't better the week before. I'm sure you can find something after Angel on the wire. It's wide receivers. It's probably the deepest position in fantasy football. You could get something out there. You'll be surprised. Let us know maybe if you check the wire real quick before we leave, and we'll give you some options here.
Yeah, we got some more fantasy stuff here. Chris Genova says Javante Williams on waivers thinking about dropping some fab to picking him up for Myers or Keenan Allen. How much fab do you think is a good bit? Thinking to put down 33%. Now, Gilbert, Javante Williams has had his best game in 2 years against the
Mm.
Jets. He's running a lot harder. Um, I thought with Estimate coming back from the injury reserve, he might get cut. So, how do you look at this
Okay,
from Chris?
So Chris is saying he's going to drop either Keenan Allen or Jacoby Myers. I'm guessing
Yes,
here, but which I'm okay with. The wide
yes.
receivers are a deep position. Check out Jacoby Myers and Keenan Allen, Angel, if you can, to help you out there. But in terms of the fab there for Javonte Williams, yeah, go ahead and pick him up for sure because you need some depth at running back, and you never know. Maybe he does something after 2 years, like Victor mentioned, but I wouldn't go that high though. Maybe like bring it down to like 15, 18%. I think that 33 is too much for Javonte Williams, who had one good game.
Next up, Jason Ortiz says, "Will you trade Godwin Hawkinson for Marvin Harrison? My tight end is Kittle."
So he's trying to get Jason's trying to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, I'll do that one in a heartbeat. That's he was trying to
Yes.
get Harrison or being offered that because Godwin and Hawkinson. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and DC says making me think McVay semi-retires after Stafford and makes a comeback in a few years. I think he's going to stick around. It's just the injuries have really bit the Rams, and they kind of need to restructure that team. I think we kind of saw this coming a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, they have a lot of holes on defense, and with some guys getting hurt. One more here from Archer. Do you guys think Moss over A-Chain this week? Pat's D is horrible, and the Ravens D is great, but the offense for the Dolphins just looks terrible.
He's saying Zach Moss or Achan this week. Just in terms, I know I'm saying don't get any Dolphins, but is Zach Moss any better? He's losing carries to Chase Brown. Achan's the entire focal point of the Dolphins offense right now.
Yeah.
Maybe he does something. I don't feel good about it. Maybe you could take away with more confidence, Victor, but I think I will go Achan, even though I've been crapping
Yeah,
on
I would
Dolphins
go
all week.
A-Chain, and I don't think the pass defense is horrible. I think their pass defense is good. Their run defense is they just have a lot of dudes hurt. So I would think, and this is the prove it game now for Mike McDaniel, man. Like and I talked about it. I brought it up, and now I'm hearing people bring it up. People like Solak brought up the whole Chip Kelly. He's starting to feel like I brought up last week. He's starting to Mike McDaniel starting to remind me of Chip Kelly, and I brought this up last week, and
Mhm.
some other people have started bringing it up this week. So
Yeah, good point.
this is the week for Mike McDaniel to do something and prove that he's just not a one hit wonder.
Yeah, I definitely did not say things about him in my stories on the show on Comas on the Beat. If you're new, by the way, here and you kind of stumbled on us for fantasy football conversation, hopefully you're enjoying the show, the content, and maybe some advice here. Hopefully we're helping you out for the week here. But do us a favor, keep liking it so people could see this video, and then subscribe to the channel. We talk a lot about the NFL. Obviously, we have more discussions about real football, but we do fantasy football conversations all the time here on Thursday night. So hopefully you stick with us. And our motto here is "Be a compa, tell a compa about compas on the beat." To subscribe for the channel here, that will definitely go a long way.
Yeah, and then one more comment here from Athir. Sorry, Athir. It says, Gilbert, are you sure Ohio State versus Michigan don't like each other? Stratton Collins are teammates, laugh out loud. But I don't
I
think they care. They're professionals
Yeah, they
now.
probably just joke around in the locker room. They make a lot of bets when they play each other. No money involved. You can't do that. But little
No.
little fun bets there, and I'm sure that they're okay with the rivalry.
Yep. Thanks. We got Michael Hart Jr. to just
Hey,
subscribe. So
thank you,
awesome to
Michael.
hear that.
Yes.
Uh, Yep. So yeah, this was a great night, Gilbert. It started with Falcons, with the Falcons stunning the Buccaneers in overtime. So and then we got a lot of good content here from people. We have one more here.
Yeah.
If the Dolphins lose, Mike McDaniel will be a dealer on the corners of Miami.
Yeah, he has the sunglasses. He has the hair for it. He has the style for it. He could definitely have a second job there in Miami.
Yeah, but I don't think you mentioned this, Gilbert. He just signed an extension. He's not going anywhere. I think the
Yeah.
person who loses his job is going to be the GM, and then they go from there. So, and
Yeah.
then he also subscribed. So that's
Yes.
awesome, Archer.
Thank you, Archer.
We got one more here before we go. 12-man
That's
PPR,
okay.
two flex starters. Kyler Henry, uh, uh, the other Robinson, Brian Robinson, CD Lamb, Nico McBride, D. Smith, T. Higgins, Bench, Wicks, Wandell, Spears, Duato, and Byron Allen. So that's a pretty good team.
Yeah.
Wicks starting this week, of
Okay.
course.
Yeah.
So
Oh, there you
there we
go.
go.
He's taking her advice on the terrible Rams defense. So he wants two people to be on their flex for this lineup here.
Yeah, two flex.
Okay. Obviously not Kyler, quarterback. Henry, Derrick Henry. These are okay. I'm trying to figure out who are the flex guys because he's definitely going to
I
start him.
think I think well, this is who he has on his bench. He's got Wicks, Wandell, Spears,
Oh,
Dotto,
okay.
and Brian Allen.
So
So
he wants.
Mike,
Gotcha. Go
yeah,
ahead.
he's already saying he's adding Wicks. So like, who are you
Okay.
going with from the rest of them?
Henry is good. Robinson, you got CD, Nico, McBride, Devontae Smith, T. Higgins. Uh, I gotta wait a little more on Tajee Spears. I don't want Rico Dow. Am I blanking on B. Allen? Oh,
Yeah, from the
Braylon.
Jets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Braylon Allen. But I go Wandell. I think go back to your point where you said he's gonna get a bunch of points in PPR, and it is a 12-man PPR.
Yep.
Wandell might not get like 5-yard catches, but he'll get a bunch of catches, little cheap points there around the backfield, the line of scrimmage, because no Malik Neighbors this week, most
We
likely.
we got another one here for you. It says Chandler Constantino says someone offered me Mahomes, Bijan, and Jefferson for Stroud, Henry, and Dubs, and I reacted it. And all my friends are saying I'm crazy. Is that crazy? It just feels like the upside of Stroud and Henry more. And then this is
Okay.
for PPR, but um, what do you think about this? Mahomes hasn't been a top
Yeah.
10 quarterback,
Yeah.
in almost 2 years.
I'll
Um,
take Henry over Bijan. I like that. It's just the Jefferson ones where it hurts a little bit. So I guess if you think about it that way, you got two with Stroud and Henry being better than the other two. And then Dobbs for Jefferson, that's definitely a mismatch, but it's not crazy. Obviously,
yeah,
I will want Justin Jefferson on my team, but Derrick Henry, I go back to my running back depth. Guys who are that good like Derrick Henry and also keeping depth is very hard to find. So if you kind of think about it and you go back and you redo a draft, you probably have Henry and just Jefferson being drafted in the top 5. So I'm okay with it. You're not crazy.
no, I'm yeah, Jefferson. I got Jefferson what in pick 8. So
Yeah, and Henry
yeah, I
must have been
mean,
second round in our league, I think.
yes, I think so. Second or third round, I think he went. So yeah, it's crazy, man. Like just looking back, I know a lot of people would not have drafted CMC. So
Mm,
yeah, it's been the number one pick has been cursed as we talked about a couple of weeks ago. I mean, between 2 years of CMC and then you got some Saquon in there and some other Jefferson last year. It's the number one pick has been kind of cursed. All right, Gilbert. That's all the comments we have. It's 10:35 Pacific time. We've done almost an hour. It's been awesome to see
yeah.
everybody in the comments. I mean, this has been our most feedback that we've gotten from everybody's awesome as always. If you want, I can name all the people, or if you want to do it, go ahead. But it's been a great show.
Yeah, I'll be very quick. Chandler, S Lab, Archer, Michael, Jason, Chris, Thier, Angel, DZ, and I know there was a bunch more than that. Oh, Elijah. A lot of names that I don't recognize, which is awesome. You're new to the show. Ivan, Paul, Adam, Agosto, Paul, because one more time, because he gave us money. I appreciate that. And Version Steve, what a name. Voltio, who hates my guts, but we love you back. Something M. Rogama. Julian, look at all these names. BC, who we recognize from House of Horns.
Yes.
Keith, I think also new. So a lot of names here. Very awesome to see. Yeah, that covers it all. So we appreciate it. Again, Via Compa, Telecompa about Compas on the beat. We do this every Thursday night. Archer got one more in here. This is a brown new one here. Uh, I have Garrett Wilson, and I got offered AJ Brown. Should I try and wait for the Jets matchup against the Vikings secondary or commit to selling Wilson? Well, I guess it depends on the AJ Brown injury. Like I mentioned, I'm not totally 100% on it. It's more 50-50, kind of like the blitz play. But this might be a game where Garrett Wilson goes off. But also keep in mind, if they do get Devontae Adams, maybe less targets for Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I would make this trade now just because. I mean, I know it's hard, but remember, sometimes it's work. The you got to think, is the squeeze worth it here? And I think it is worth it if you can get AJ Brown right now because people are frustrated with
Good
the
point.
injury. So, and as you said, I think it's a kind of a foregone conclusion that the Raiders are going to trade Adams to the Jets. I think that's probably who's going to give him the best offer out there just because Rogers really wants him. So, and then we
Yeah,
saw the
that could be a
frustration,
problem.
but Yeah, and especially if Gary Wilson goes off, this would be an opportunity for you to sell on Wilson as well. And then one more here from Chandler says, "I have CMC, Rice, and Cup." Laugh out loud. Gee, man,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
no.
uh,
You say like he's saying like those are all his guys that are
o-
hurt.
okay, injured players, but okay, I see why. You keep Henry, keep CJ Stroud. I'm okay with that, Chandler. You are not crazy again, but again, reminder: we're gonna do this every Thursday night. Hopefully, you could join us next Thursday. We put on the notification sub here so you can know. We'll break down. I'm not even sure who plays next Thursday, but we'll discuss that Thursday night football game and look forward to Week 6. But one more, that's okay. Hopefully, you're okay with it, Victor, because I haven't asked
Yeah,
you.
yeah. No, I'm good.
But Michael is asking or saying someone actually dropped Bryce before they put him on IR. Probably dumb question mark. But do I go ahead and pounce or put it up here? Who's better? Better to also better to have money over McConkey or Shaheed, 12 PPR redraft. Well, the first part, a little bit dumb. I will wait. We mentioned that earlier in the show, Michael. It sounds like there's a chance he might come back. So you have an IR spot, put Rice there. And I'm not sure if I'm reading the second part right. I guess who's better, McConkey or Shaheed? Oh, and a redraft. Shaheed started off pretty hot, getting those touchdowns. He's been very quiet, but I think I'd rather have Shaheed. I don't know. It's a tough one. Maybe Victor you take away, but McConkey has been slowly getting some points and connections, but they don't pass the football. That's why I think I go with Shaheed a little more here.
Yeah, yeah. Who else? Who else would be better have money or McConkey or Shaheed? Well, is it for this week or is it going the rest of
Oh,
the rest of the
I
season?
see. He said Mooney.
Yeah,
Michael's saying, who's better to have, Mooney over McConkey or Shaheed?
no,
Uh, you're
it's
saying
Mooney. I mean, we saw
okay,
tonight that Kirk Cousins has been targeting him. Like
yeah,
it's been him
yeah,
and
all year
London.
too.
Yeah, it's been all year. So I'd keep Mooney. Yeah,
It's been one of the more underrated signings in the NFL. I like
yeah.
Darnell Mooney and remember he was like this good Bears wide receiver and kind of disappeared, and Kirk Cousins kind of revived his career.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I'm not giving up on Mooney here. And then yeah, go pounce on Rice. And like you talked about, if you have an IR spot, go and put him on IR. I don't understand why people, why people would drop them. You wait until that person is put on IR. You never drop someone until then because if you have an IR spot, go ahead and use it up. Here, Thier, one last one. Gilbert buy or sell Broncos will score 13 points against the Broncos. I mean, against the Chargers.
uh, I'll say they'll get right at 13. That's a good Chargers defense, and the Broncos can score points. So there you go. It'll be
Yeah,
13
and
for the
next
Broncos.
Thursday night, Gilbert is 49ers at the Seahawks.
Oh, okay. Should be a good matchup there. We'll see how far the Seahawks have come. And we'll see if the 49ers put away the Cardinals and the Seahawks play the Giants this week. But it's time to get going. Shout out to you.
Yep.
Salute to you, Michael Lopez. Subscribe. Don't forget about that. We appreciate the support. But let's get going to the weekend of week 5. If you don't know who I am, I'm Gilberto Manzano. That person you hear on the loud and clear voice is Victor Corona. We are compas on the beat, but it's time to get going. On that note, ya nos vamos, pues vámonos.